Tonight we will join Makala, a translator sailing to the warfront. She hopes to find her people amidst peace talks. But first, she must consult 4 spirits that govern her people's sacred isles. The first is her home, an island surrounded by a great coral reef. Some say humans breathe 14 breaths per minute. Makala heard coral takes 20 minutes to take a breath. Her grandma used to brag about her coral club, which took 10 million breaths before it hardened and became her protector. When Makala was young, her grandmother would stand at the top of a nearby hill and watch the kids play, leaning on the staff of her club. The wizened chunk of sharp coral hung over her head like a thick tree branch blocking the rain. But Makala wouldn't be able to carry coral that old back up to the surface. She was deep under the ocean surface, and she was tired from her travels. As she brushed her hands over a green branch of coral, Makala considered how many breaths her body was denied while she was down here, maybe 20. This branch, if she were to break it off, how many breaths would she take from it? How long would it live if she were to leave it? She might steal thousands of worthwhile moments from it, and all in order to take more lives. Makala kicked off the bottom, lungs jerking and water rushing up to follow her. In its current, a polyp, recently shed from a grateful coral branch, followed her, the size of a thumbnail. The polyp was as rough as a pumice stone. Young yet brilliantly tough, the coral polyp journeyed with Makala through the war to come, breathing fast, heavy breaths. Blessing of the marching moss. Makala sits cross-legged on a beach. Her sword lies across a boulder at the edge of the forest. The colonies of this sacred island inhabit clumps of moss. Like moving cities, they crawl along the ground, carrying their scraggly green homes. These microscopic citizenry sharpen visitors' blades. As warriors wait and pray, moss clumps move like a school of fish, a blessing for worthy sailors. Makala told her family she wouldn't journey to the warfront without the blessing of the marching moss. So she waits. This is the 7th day of prey. Makala has fasted, she has set sea glass around the boulder as her father suggested, and yet there is never moss on her blade. As the sun sets, Makala stands and sheathes her sword, disheartened. She casts off, rowing her dinghy home, unaware of the invisible forces supporting her, unaware of the moss that made its way into her sheath, and the tiny spirits hard at work on her blade. Sometimes faith and diligence are rewarded in the most subtle, silent ways. Guardians of the great Mycelium. Trees are often taken to be teachers, but they're merely agents of the great Mycelium. It spans the uninhabited forest island of Kanui, up to the shore where passerbys can see the thin white hairs peek out of cliffs and wet sand. Only the observant know how much farther across the sea Kanui's mycelium reach. This great god is a system of roads in which volumes of tiny sensitive roots work to become entangled. The roads hold hands with the hearts and minds of Kanui's past visitors. They have one desire: to share their connection. As a teenager, Makala scoffed at tree huggers that visited the island and never stuck their hands into Kanui's rich soil. Makala may not have the blessings of moss, she may not hear the soft sounds of rooted chorus, but she would always carry Kanui, holding it by one of its many hands. She was its guardian, its breathing, moving advocate, and yet with every wave breaking against the side of her ship, she felt a strange, comforting truth. Makala was as insignificant as the trees, the great mycelium's agent, a being often mistaken for teacher. All right. Song of Mangrove Lake. Makala's paddle yanks at her arm. Wood slips beneath her fingers. Jumping out of her seat, she grabs at it. Wet hands squeeze the slick wood handle. The canoe's momentum slows, but the wave of water left by its wake continues to push the boat forward. Along the tree root canal, amongst the roots of Mangrove Lake, singers can be found. At least their song can be heard, earned, and collected. A weightless ring will vibrate only within ears of patient mariners. Makala climbs down, hands grasping past the handle and wrapping around the flat paddle held by vines. Young roots. Makala has a strange thought that the proactive budding roots had a reason for grasping her. She continues to climb down, right out of the boat and into clean, silent lake water. A world of roots, cavities beneath them, and silence. Makala dares to wriggle between two roots and between two more. They seem aroused by her touch. All thought of air escapes her, and her ears widen in anticipation. She's excited to finally be blessed by the spirits. Hungry silence is all that rings. Makala does not hear the mysterious singer's song, the gift she sought for her people. If she can't hear it in this silence, she must not be worthy. Yet in this loud, forceful world, silence has a place.